What's up, guys? Got another Nin game for you. I actually played this game last night and was intending to record it, but then I played that best of 3 match and decided to just record that instead, and then I ran out of time because it was, well, obscenely late. But I played this game yesterday, thought it was pretty cool, would make for a cool video, and so we're going to move ahead with that. Without further ado, it's Nin versus Thrun, the last troll. And on the spectrum of mono-green commanders, I would not put this guy particularly high. He's certainly much better in 1v1. I think probably not even a viable commander in multiplayer where you need to do bigger, splashier things. But a 4/4 uncounterable regenerator that's untargetable by the opponent is pretty problematic for a lot of decks, and specifically for a lot of the decks that I play, particularly the Nin deck. Bray obviously just shrugs at this thing and doesn't particularly care about it, but Nin, not so much. I don't really have a lot of defense against it in the form of blockers, and while you can kind of work your way around it and make it maybe uncastable by bouncing it back to their hand with Rift and then killing it and then amnesiaing it out of their hand and maybe doing that a second time somehow, it can be pretty problematic and the damage can stack up pretty quickly. And unless you're able to win the game via Tezzeret the Seeker or something, it can be a real challenge to win. So I've actually struggled against Thrun the Last Troll sometimes with Nin, and this game is no exception, particularly with this opening hand. And it looks like not terrible on face value. It does have some high cost things, but the Whir, of course, gets mana crypt with just one more blue source, and I do have top to dig. But the problem is that Mystic Sanctuary obviously is going to come into play tapped, which means I can't play top turn 1 if I do in fact lead with the Sanctuary. And what I just see with this hand is my opponent drawing an Accelerator at the beginning of the game, maybe just an elf or something, and getting thrown out on turn 3, and me just struggling to find mana while he's beating me for 4 turn, and before I've even managed to get some mana into play and somehow stabilize, I'm already down to basically facing lethal off of Thrun. I did not want that to happen, so I mulliganed it into this hand, which is such a great example of why Nin is such an insane commander. I mean, what other commander could you keep a hand like this, short of something like Damia, Sage of Stone, or maybe Narset or something? But a commander that you can have an entire hand of mana and it's still very viable is a pretty good commander in my opinion. So this is a snap keep for me. Very, very likely better than a 5-card keep. So I'm just going to throw back one of these islands. I drew both of my volcanics in my opening hand too. And he's going first, and he leads with one of the strangest turn 1 plays I have ever seen in my life. Turn 1 Mox Diamond, discarding Arena, which is pretty damn cool in a Thrun deck. Mirri's Guile, no land. Well, this is pretty high risk, high reward. Imagine if I have a way to kill Mox Diamond, or if maybe Mirri's Guile doesn't show him any lands on top. So he's taking some gigantic risks here to keep this hand. But 1, 2, 3 plus, so I guess he mulliganed as well. He's just gambling on the top of his deck, so we're both going to be a little gimpy at the beginning. I'm very glad that he had Mox Diamond and no land to go with it. All right. So I got a Dissolve. Not too useful against Thrun, but I might be able to stop some ramp that gets Thrun into play, and he gets a forest right away in the top 3. And now it's readily apparent why he plays into the north to go fetch up a snowland. Notice this is not a snow forest, which is kind of perplexing to me. Mouth of Ronam. All right, well, he's 1 mana off from Mirri's Guiling his way into another forest and casting Thrun on turn 3, which is exactly the scenario I was talking about being afraid of. But fortunately, I actually have mana, and particularly because I just drew Fire Ice, I can tap down a forest during upkeep and prevent him from casting Thrun this turn at least. And he taps his land. I draw just kind of useless Bloodstained Mire. And with both Volcanics in my hand, all this does is literally just fetch a mountain. And cast 3 visits. All right, well, there's magical 4 mana, and at least I'm not contending with the Thrun for a reasonable amount of time. Not till his turn 4. I draw another land. All right, that's not too good. At this point, since I can't counter anything, I'm just going to play the Signet and play Nin. He draws with his Mirri's Guile, hitting another land. This card was amazing. Just basically Vampiric Tutored him to all the lands that he needed, and down comes Thrun. Of course, can't be countered. I wouldn't counter it even if I could. Actually, I would. That's not true. Okay, draw Mana Leak. Not bad at all. I'm going to play the Gilded Lotus, even though that means I can only cast one of these. But I don't really feel, with 2 cards in hand, there's really that wide of a range of things that he could play that I would want to need to counter twice, given that he only has 5 mana available. But one thing I have seen with Thrun decks is that they tend to play kind of Voltron-style effects, just pile a couple of enchantments onto Thrun, like Rancor, and, I don't know, like the green enchantments, Moldervine Cloak or Elephant Guide, and they just make it huge, and it kills you in a couple of hits. But the key is giving it Trample. Rancor is just insane on him. So he draws a card, thinks for a little while, and plays Naturalize on Gilded Lotus. And of course, since my entire game plan is going to revolve around blocking Thrun with Nin and then shooting it to draw a million cards, I really need the Lotus. So that is a dissolve target if I've ever seen one. And off the scry, I see Whir of Invention, which I actually am very happy to see. Most of the time I'm getting Shackles with this, but actually Whir of Invention for 4 will fetch up Phyrexian Metamorph, which I can use to copy Thrun the Last Troll, and I've got a Gilded Lotus to regenerate it. So, hey, problem solved. And then he plays O Naginata, which is a card you hardly ever see. But my god, is this card good in Thrun. Holy moly. It gives it the critical 7 power, and it gives it Trample. It's like super Rancor. Wow. And now I'm getting smashed for 7 out of the blue, and suddenly I'm terrified. Suddenly I'm like 2 hits away from just losing the game. And I can't even do like a block and shoot Nin thing because I'll get trampled for 7. All right. Well, I know I'm drawing the Whir. I do have the ability to go get the Metamorph and at least mitigate some of the damage. But unless I draw cards right now and deal with the O Naginata, I'm just going to die to this creature in a couple of turns. It's just nuts. So I'm tapping out right now to have Nin blow herself to bits, mainly because he's got Mouth of Ronom in play and the ability to sack it in response. And at this stage in the game, every turn is critical, and I cannot afford to have him use Mouth of Ronom to stop a Nin activation. So I'm going to just use Nin to Geyser for 7. Main step, Brain Geyser. Actually, I guess Brain Geyser is always main step, since it's a sorcery. All right, come on, deck. Give me a way to kill an artifact, or take it, and we're cool. It's coming. What's going on here? What happened to my replay? Hey. Okay, lag disappeared. Sorry about that delay. All right, so when I last left off, I was having Nin shoot herself for 7 before my opponent has the ability to hit it with Mouth of Ronom. So about to draw 7 here. And off the 7, I get 7 spells, and they're all basically stellar. This is just totally insane. Tezzeret the Seeker, there's Mystical Tutor to handle the O Naginata. I've got Force of Will to handle his next turn, copy Artifact to copy likely Gilded Lotus. Pretty much have all the options now, and it's a matter of just not dying. So I'm going to throw those away. All right. Fortunately, I have Force of Will for some crazy, I don't know, Berserk or something. I don't know if Berserk is... I don't think Berserk's banned from Commander. I'm not honestly positive about that, but I don't think it is. All right, Keen Sense on Thrun the Last Troll. All right, fine. Take another 7 Commander. Now cannot take one more hit, and he draws another card. It's got to be a pretty big turn. The Tracker. Okay, that's another amazing card in Thrun the Last Troll. But I know exactly what I'm doing here. I'm doing the only card in my deck that can actually deal with Thrun the Last Troll when he has mana available, and that is returning it to its hand to buy me some time. But fortunately I drew both Soul Ring and Tezzeret the Seeker, along with copy artifacts, so I have the ability to basically play Tezzeret for free and be pretty much set up against the Thrun on the following turn. Because green does not have any answer to this kind of interaction. We get the Rift, obviously. Play Soul Ring, tap those 2. And there's a reason why I didn't actually immediately cast Copy Artifact right here to copy Gilded Lotus, which of course would have been the wisest play. And that's because I'm thinking ahead to do something exceedingly clever, which you're going to see me do in a couple of turns. And when I say exceedingly clever, that's with a large dose of, well, not sarcasm, but personal regret. Sometimes you can be a little bit too clever for your own good. And I'll admit what I was actually thinking is that I'm going to be using Whir of Invention to go get Metamorph, or use Tezzeret to get Metamorph. And then, so I'm going to copy the Troll, and then I'm going to copy Artifact on the Thrun the Last Troll, so I have 2 of them, and now I've got 8 points of toughness to absorb the 7 power from Thrun, and I've got a Gilded Lotus, and I can regenerate both of them, and it's going to be awesome. That was my plan. Now, there's only one small hitch in that plan, which you will, most of you probably already know already, but the remainder of you will soon discover as I make that play. But first, I'm going to do something intelligent, which is cast Cyclonic Rift main step, since I fully intend to do that next turn anyway, or do that anyway, and no reason not to pull the trigger right now. Ideally, I should have probably left 2 islands untapped here versus a Volcanic Island and an island, because it just means that I can't get wastelanded and be unable to mana drain. So I'm really hoping he doesn't draw a land here to feed his Mox Diamond or to just play it, because that prevents him from both playing his Troll and casting the deadly O Naginata on the same turn. Of course, I will immediately counterspell the Naginata when he does try to play it. So down comes Thrun. Of course, I'm not countering that. All right, guys, you ready for the super high-tech play here? Pay 4. Yep, copy the Troll. Oh, yeah, I got that double Troll action covered. Look at that. 2 Thrun the last Troll in play. I can absorb all the trample in the world. Oops. Yeah, the legendary rule. Not going to occur too often, and somehow I managed to bungle my way into that. Fortunately, I do have the multiple ways to stop O Naginata, so it's not going to come into play, and a single Thrun can hold off the other Thrun all day long as he doesn't have the ability to give extra power and trample. So I'm going to sheepishly play my Nin the Pain Artist here and sit back behind both Mana Drain and Force of Will, and hope that he doesn't have something ruinous to beat me. And after thinking for a little while, Rainbow Unicorn decides he's had enough. He realizes that this is sort of a ridiculous loop. With Tezzeret the Seeker, I can just draw a million cards off Thrun, and I can do stuff on my turn and then shoot Thrun at the end of the turn after regenerating it to draw tons of cards, and he probably can't ever resolve another spell and get through. So he packs it in, and I'm not terribly punished for my absolutely idiotic mistake and misplay there. But thought it was an entertaining game regardless. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Thrun the Last Troll will continue to be a pain in the ass for Nin to deal with. But as you can see, there are routes to handle it. They pretty much involve clones. Just don't cast 2 clones at the same time of a legendary creature, and you'll be fine. More games to come. See you guys later.